The December 12th, 2017 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Elkoffer. Here. Mr. Ansello. Here. Mr. Baroth. Here. Ms. Boyce. Here. Mr. Brew. Here. Mrs. Brown. Here. Dr. Carbone. Here. Mrs. Conley. Here. President Daniele.
Here.
Mr. Delahanty.
Here.
Mrs. DeFlorio. Mrs. Draw. Here. Mr. Felder. Here. Mr. Flagler Mitchell.
Here.
Ms. Harris. Here. Mr. Hebert.
Here.
Mr. Howland.
Here.
Ms. Cayley. Here. Mr. Lightfoot.
Here.
Mr. Marionetti.
Here.
Mr. Michikay.
Here.
Mr. Morelli.
Here.
Mr. Moyo.
Here.
Mr. Rocco.
Here.
Mr. Shepard.
Here.
Ms. Taylor. Mr. Terp.
Here.
Mr. Wilcox.
Here.
Mr. Zal.
Here.
Please stay seated. I'd like to introduce Pastor James Sherry of the Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, who has been invited this evening by Legislator Vincent Felder. Pastor?
Thank you, President Daniele, to our county executive, and to all this august body of legislators. Let us pray. Living God, we give thanks to you for giving us another day. And Father, as we face each day, help us to discover the power of resting in you. We ask tonight that you'd send down your Spirit upon the members of this body. Grant them wisdom, insight, and vision, that the work they do will be for the betterment of our county. And help them to identify and bring to pass policies that will redound to the benefit of our children and grandchildren. May all this be done this day for your greater honor and glory. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Here, on behalf of the Merry Christmas and God bless. Legislators, please stand, or all please stand, as Legislator John Lightfoot will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Legislator Lightfoot. Please be seated. Legislators, your copy of the Journal of Day 12, November 14, 2017, is available on your tablet, and without exception, this journal will stand approved as submitted. There is a hearing loop in place this evening to assist those who are hearing impaired. Anyone requiring assistance should inquire in the clerk's office.
If you have a cellular phone, pager, or other electronic devices in your possession, I would request that you make it inaudible for the duration of the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation.
Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle are available on your tablet as well as online for the public to view. This evening there are several proclamations scheduled, but before we get to general proclamations, I'd like to ask Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn, I believe he's here. Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn, come on in. Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn, would you please meet me at the podium? Tonight, it is my great honor to present a plaque to someone who has been a dedicated public servant in our community since 1976. Throughout the entirety of my 10-year span here in the Monroe County Legislature, Patrick O'Flynn has been the Monroe County Sheriff. Patrick has navigated the Monroe County Sheriff's Office through times of great change, starting from his first days as a deputy sheriff trainee to the highest position possible of our sheriff's office. Patrick rose through the ranks of the sheriff's office, where he served as a part-time deputy sheriff to the Parks and Marine Patrol, full-time deputy sheriff to the Road Patrol, sergeant and lieutenant of both administrative and operational assignments, SWAT commander and undersheriff under our great Sheriff Andrew Maloney. Since his appointment as Sheriff of Monroe County in 2001, and over the following 16 years, he would oversee many defining moments and major accomplishments in our community. While supervising approximately 1,200 sworn and civilian personnel and operating a budget of over $130 million, Patrick still managed to advocate and implement new and innovative programs and services to better the lives of those in Monroe County, many of which were referrals concerning grants and programs that he initiated and followed through with that he brought to this honorable body in these chambers, and it has always been an honor to support Patrick in those endeavors. Not only has Patrick always put our residents first, but he's been a remarkable leader and role model, and truly the epitome of all you can possibly be as a public servant. It's been an honor to work alongside a man like Patrick O'Flynn, and Monroe County, I can assure you, is a better place to live because of the strong foundation that this man has laid for us. On behalf of this Monroe County Legislature, I want to thank you for your years of faithful service and for all that you have done for Monroe County. You've left your indelible mark, and I wish you only success and happiness in your future endeavors. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask our county executive, Cheryl Donalfo, to come up. I know she has a few words as well.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you. On behalf of a grateful County of Monroe, I stand before this honorable body to share some thoughts on the leadership of Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn, who has led this community so admirably for over 40 years. Anthony has gone over the biographical information about Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn, but I want to talk personally about him, if you don't mind, a little bit about what we know about Patrick O'Flynn and the legacy that he is leaving here in the County of Monroe. You know, I always find that when we serve the public each and every day, we get up to make a difference in our community. And I know that there are so many public servants in this room who do just that. You get up and you say, what does this day present us? What challenges do we have? What opportunities do we have? And how do we address them? And we do our job, and the day ends, and we reflect. And then we go back the next day and say, what can we do even better? Well, I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn really is the epitome of what it means to be a public servant. I have seen him over the years, and I know so many of you have as well, who he has done what I just described every day, getting up every single day saying, what can I do to serve this community better? What can I do to make a difference in the lives of the over 750,000 residents of the County of Monroe? What can I do to lead my department to even greater accomplishments and greater heights? And Patrick O'Flynn has done that each and every day. We owe him a debt of gratitude. I have to tell you that this community is better because Patrick O'Flynn has served us with integrity, dedication, and compassion. I want to thank him for what he has done for this community, and I also want to say a thank you to his wife, Lisa. We all know that this life of public servant, being a public servant, is all-encompassing. It doesn't end when you close the door to your house. The phone still goes off and you answer the call. The emergency happens and you leave your house. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday. It doesn't matter if it's your kid's graduation. You are always there. And Patrick O'Flynn was always there for this community for over 40 years. On behalf of a grateful County of Monroe, I have a proclamation for you, Patrick, but I do want you to know that your service will be forever remembered here in this community. And on behalf of this community, I'm going to proclaim today, Tuesday, December 12th, to be Patrick O'Flynn, Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn Day in the County of Monroe in recognition of your dedicated service. And while we're at it, why don't we just make the rest of the month your month as well? Thank you very much for your service and your impact on our community.
Well, through the president, if I may address the, this is truly humbling, and I've got the extra jumbo size frame, all wood. It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah. But it truly has been an honor for me to be able to work with the administration and the full legislature, this honorable body, and you've always been so supportive of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for making it possible. Some of the things that we tried to do and did do in the Sheriff's Office to really make this community a better place to live, work, and raise your family. So I do want to recognize the great team that I have, because the sheriff is only the figurehead that gets up there and takes all the credit, but it's the hardworking people behind me, my undersheriff, my superintendent, Drew Forsyth, Ron Harling, our commander, Mike Fowler, our head of our Civil Bureau, Phil Gombato, and the rest of the team. I know we got Brendan O'Riordan, Ed Igneri, Jen Curley, Major Ed Krenzer, Holly Moynihan, the whole team, even Red. Thank you, Red. But you see him all the time. But no, I truly want to thank each and every one for all the support that we've been given. And God bless each and every one of you, and I wish you the best as you go forward, as your team and everybody here goes forward. And I wish each of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you. And my wife. What? Oh.
And now for the rest of our proclamations, Madam Clerk.
Would the Spencerport Rangers girls soccer team and Coach Jamie Schneider please come forward? Also President Anthony J. Daniele, Legislator Mike Zale, and Legislator Frank Alcoffer. To win a state championship is the crowning achievement for athletes in New York. It is the culmination of a season's worth of hard work, dedication, and excellence in execution. The athletes of the Spencerport Rangers girls soccer team embodied all of these qualities this season when they won their second Class A state championship in as many years. And whereas championship teams are successful due to not only the athletes, but also to the commitment and passion of a great coaching staff. Head coach Jamie Schneider led his team through a long season, providing guidance and encouragement to his players along the way. Under his leadership, the Rangers extended their undefeated streak by going 20-0-2 this season and 41-0-4 during these 2 championship seasons. And whereas we are proud that these student athletes call Monroe County home, their successes both on the field and in the classroom are a testament to their character and willingness to hard work. The women of the Spencerport Rangers girls soccer team are role models not only to other high school students, but to everyone in our community. Therefore, we, Anthony J. Daniele, President, Mike Zale, Legislator District 20, and Frank Alkoffer, Legislator District 4, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Spencerport Rangers girls soccer for winning the 2017 Class A New York State Championship.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us here. I think there's 3 very quick aspects I want to point out that made this team so successful this year and the past year. First and foremost, the character they have. They're great kids and great people of the highest character. And that's key when you're going to have a successful formula in any endeavor like we just did. Second is their student athletes. We have over a 90% academic achievement in the classroom. Some of them are ranked very high in their class. We have students going off to Cornell and very great institutions for their college. So they're student athletes first in the classroom. Third is why they're also getting celebrated is their success on the field. They're excellent soccer players who did a remarkable job of repeating as state champs. This year definitely felt a little bit different. The pressure, I'm sure some of you know about pressure tonight, and the pressure to repeat and to stay ranked in the nation was different, but they handled it very, very well. And to repeat all that, to stay undefeated, to finish 5 in the country, they did a remarkable job to do that. And they represented Spencerport and Monroe County very well, and we're very proud of them. So thank you very much for this honor. We are very appreciative.
Would Coach Chris Zorn please come forward? Also President Anthony J. Daniele, Legislator Mike Zale, and Legislator Mike Rocco. Behind every great athlete is a great coach, is a phrase often used in sports. This statement rings true with the Brockport Blue Devils men's soccer team, who won the Class A1 championship. Their head coach, Chris Zorn, was named the New York State Large School Coach of the Year. And whereas Chris Zorn is well worthy of this honor, his athletes respect and admire the hard work and dedication their coach brings to the field every day. As athletes, they work tirelessly to show their appreciation to their coach, and nothing shows more perseverance than a championship win. And whereas Chris will end his coaching career as a champion, he has dedicated 15 years of coaching at the varsity level and 15 more at lower levels. He will be remembered for his devotion to the teams he has coached and is leaving as a legacy. And whereas the recipients of this award have displayed a strong commitment to strengthening their communities through their passion for coaching, we are proud to have New York State Large School Coach of the Year recipient call Monroe County home, and we thank him for the positive impact he has made. Now, therefore, we, Anthony J. Daniele, President, Mike Zale, Legislator District 20, and Mike Rocco, Legislator District 2, on behalf of the Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate Chris Zorn on receiving the New York State Large School Coach of the Year Award.
Well, I guess I would just like to thank Mike Rocco and Mike Zale for this recognition. and basically thank the community for all the support that they've shown me throughout the years and the support that they've shown the program to get us to the point that we've gotten to at this juncture. So I want to thank everybody that was involved. So thank you. Much appreciated.
Would Zaire Downs Lee please come forward? Also President Anthony J. Daniele and Legislator Lachey D. Harris. It is the sense of this legislature to honor organizations and individuals whose efforts seek to improve the lives of residents across Monroe County. And whereas, attendant to such concern and in full accord with longstanding tradition, this legislator is justly proud to honor and recognize Zaire Downs Lee for his dedication to our community and his guidance of others. And whereas, at the age of 13, Zaire organized a march in downtown Rochester, New York, to protest police brutality and to demand a peaceful and violence-free environment in which to grow up. And whereas, in the summer of 2016, in an effort to curb bullying and boost self-confidence, Zaire launched a sneaker drive to help students in need. And whereas, in the summer of 2017, Zaire held his second annual sneaker drive, raising approximately $6,000 overall, touching the lives of many young people, including students at his school. And whereas, for his leadership in organizing the sneaker drive, Zaire recently received the Do the Right Thing Award from the Rochester City Police Department. And whereas, Zaire is recognized for demonstrating positive behavior, for guiding his peers to peaceful resolutions, and for being the change he wishes to see. Now therefore, let it be known that we, Anthony J. Daniele, President, and Lachey D. Harris, Legislator, District 27, on behalf of the entire county legislature, do hereby honor and recognize Zaire Downs Lee for his continued dedication to our community, to his peers, and for his shining example of philanthropy on this 12th day of December 2017.
I want to thank everybody who nominated me to get this award, and I want to thank my family.
Legislators, there are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. We will now hold a public forum, and we have several people registered to address the legislature this evening. Madam Clerk.
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. I will call 3 people forward at one time. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature, and kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds and exit through the back of the chambers. Thank you for your cooperation. Our first 3 speakers will be Paul Frisella, William Hampson, and Bernadette Giambra.
I am Paul Frisella. A few years ago, I wrote to the Monroe County Executive's Office about some concerns, and as of today, I have gotten no response back. This is despite several phone calls to this office. About a month ago, I called there, and the lady there hung up on me. I called back, and she spoke coldly to me. The poor service at that office must stop. So I encourage all voters here to vote appropriately at the next election that has a race for Monroe County Executive.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Hampson. I spoke at the last legislature meeting regarding the sheriff's health care. Since then, I had a big fight with my gallbladder, and I was taken by ambulance to Strong to have it removed. So I'm recovering from that now. Now, you may think that I'm lucky because the county's health care doesn't run out till January 1st. However, my health care has been much diminished from what it was when I retired in '99 and from when I turned 65 in 2011. Each year the county, not under Cheryl, under Maggie, would diminish our benefits. Our co-pays went up. All our extra fees went up. So after a few years of it being diminished, I read you last month, our contract, which was signed with the county and affirmed and certified by the legislature, how in contrast it was to what really happened. It is our contention that we were considered retirees until we died, not until we turned 65, as attested to the fact that I didn't lose mine until 6 years after I turned 65. So, and I wanted to explain, we did a lot of sacrifice joining the Sheriff's Department. I was working at General Motors back in '75 when I got the nod to command the Sheriff's Department. I was going to make $23,000 that year, and I came on. I started at $10,660 a year. I had a wife and 2 young children. My wife had to go to work, but we made it through. I'd been laid off during the energy crisis from Delco, and then I was picked up by Products, and I said, where can I work where I won't be laid off, where it's not going to go bankrupt? And I figured free health care for life, the county's not going to go bankrupt. They don't lay off sheriff's deputies because when things get bad, the need for us gets more. So I just want to say we felt betrayed by the county this year by losing it, and I felt bad because I was always really good friends and really like Cheryl D'Onofrio, and the same with Patrick, who is here tonight. So it's a little conflicting to have good friends and have these things happen. But I thank everybody for listening, and I thank our crowd for being here tonight. Thank you.
I'm trying to be tall. Good evening. My name is Bernadette Giambra, President of CSCA Retirees Local 912. We represent many of your retired employees. Us, retirees, like to think that we gave you the best years working in public service. In return, the county is under contract to provide us our health insurance to carry us into the sunset of our golden years. At least that's what we thought. We realize that health insurance plans change, but the retirees that have the most cost-effective HMO plans have been cast off to the Medicare Advantage land of uncertainty. Our fellow retirees that have the much more expensive PPO plan, such as Blue Million Traditional, curiously, are still being taken care of per contract. True, we are being offered a $600 medical credit card to help defray costs, but that's a pittance. This is not fair. We are asking for you to keep your part of the contract regarding health insurance for all retirees, as we are in good faith kept ours. Thank you for letting me speak.
Our next three speakers are Joel Shapiro, David Attridge, and Ray Battaglia.
Hello, my name is Joel Shapiro. I realize I only have 2 minutes to make my spiel, my speech, but I have what I really want to say and complete. If I could put this on the record, is that possible? Okay, a couple weeks ago, I opened up my newspaper and I saw this headline: Monroe County may sue over opioids. And Monroe County may become involved with a consortium of New York counties, like counties even across the country, to take on the big bad opioid manufacturers because they deem it to be a root cause or a foundation of the big problem that we have with fentanyl and its derivatives and cousins on the street. What went through my mind, well, first, I was shaking with anger, and I'm still angry now, as you can tell, but I'm speaking to you with anger in a respectful voice. Please take me for my word at that. What went through my mind when I saw this headline was two things. First was, I believe in Christianity, one of the last words that Jesus says was, "Forgive them, for they don't know what they do." And the other one was a Chinese saying that you all heard of: be careful what you wish for. So, if I want a babbling beer brook in my backyard, in my little hamlet, my little town of Brighton, I'm going to have to go through all kinds of hearings. And believe you me, if I have a babbling beer brook, there are going to be environmental issues, and it's all going to be discussed. I probably won't get it. But even the town of Brighton itself, when they want to go and build a path through a wetlands, they bring it up. So there was no, you have to have a hearing for there, but there was no hearings for this. I guess I called, and it seems like nobody knew like the source of this, but it seems like this is a pet project of Mr. Denaflo. So let's say she goes and sues the drug makers who have $500 billion in profit. Say she loses. Is she going to say, "I'm sorry, Monroe County, we made our point"? That's a pretty expensive point. But worse, let's say she wins. Now, fentanyl is a legal drug, but the things that you see on the street with the flakes of like a grain of salt, that's carfentanil. That's made in China. So if you go either way, what the drug company can do is say, you know what? I don't want to go and make fentanyl anymore. And fentanyl was a drug made for people with prostate cancer like me when it goes to their bones. And someday, if I don't have, does that mean I'm done?
Please summarize. You're welcome to finish up. Just make it.
All right. I'm sorry that I'm speaking like this. But my point is that if these cases, or these cases are successful, these court cases that she intends to bring, and a lot of other counties, then the drug companies might say, you know what? I don't want to make fentanyl anymore. And for that matter, maybe I don't want to make morphine anymore. Now, the drug companies...
Sir, I'm sorry.
All
Have a
right.
good evening. Thank you.
Oh.
Hello and happy holidays to everyone. Name is David Attridge, and Executive Director of Recovery Now New York. Been up here a couple times. A few of you know me. I had something I was going to talk about, but today has been an unusual day. Not unusual, just getting worse. Last night we lost 3 people to overdose. Last night in the county. That's going to make for what we track is going to make for 8 people in the last 12 days. 8 people last 12 days. 31 overdoses in the last 12 days. I ask of you again, as legislators, to go out into your district and to talk to your people. Set up forums. Do whatever is needed to let them know. We need to educate. We need the prevention. We are out there every day. A lot of the grassroots organizations, which are out which are out working every day on the front lines. Some of us are out on North Clinton. Some of us are in Gates. Some of us are all over because this crisis is everywhere. It's just not in the deep city. It's in the suburbs. It doesn't discriminate. This disease does not discriminate. So I just ask, and we always offer our services, whether it's running forums, crisis forums, teaching on prevention, going into the schools, whatever it is, we're offering it, and we keep offering it because we need to stop those days, like 8 deaths in this county in the last 12 days that we know of. There could be more. Thank you.
Good evening. I retired as a court deputy in 2007 with 28 years of service. I'm here to protest the county's canceling of my Blue Cross Blue Shield Blue Choice plan that was in effect the day I retired per my contract. The contract states, retirees of the county shall receive fully paid Blue Cross Blue Shield protection and dental insurance, which is in effect at the time I retired. Nowhere in the contract does it say when I reach 65 years old and qualify for Medicare, I lose my health care retirement plan that I retired with and be forced to choose a health care plan that is not compatible with my contract plan. My question to you, the legislature, since a legislature body approved and ratified my contract, don't you have a voice in what the county administration and the human resource representative on canceling my retirement plan? County clearly is in breach of my contract. Hopefully you're not in agreement with this administration and will work to correct this breach of contract for all the Medicare deputies and their contracts. Give us back our Blue Cross Blue Shield health care plan, retirement plan that we retired with. Tell the county administration to stop spending taxpayer money on lawsuits that the county is surely going to lose. Lastly, give the court deputies and the jail deputies a fair contract. 5 years without a contract is way too long. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Lexi Popovich, Michael Hogan, and Joe Amapishi.
Good evening. I'll be speaking about Tobacco 21. Throughout Monroe County, we have held discussions with numerous organizations, municipalities, school boards, and physicians, and the conversations are the same. E-cigarettes have proliferated our community, increasing tremendously over the past several years. E-cigarettes are the most commonly used tobacco product by youth in this country, and some studies reveal that 99 to 100% of all e-cigarettes contain nicotine. Because e-cigarette nicotine is unregulated, many youth are becoming addicted and dual or concurrently using with combustible cigarettes. Never smoking U.S. adolescent e-cigarette users were almost 8 times more likely to progress to cigarette smoking after 1 year compared to non-users. With 90% of all adult smokers starting before the age of 18, it is critical to prevent middle and high schoolers from transitioning from e-cigarette experimentation to long-term cigarette use and addiction. Currently, right now, there's 20% of Monroe County youth that have used an e-cigarette in the past 30 days, with 30% of those county youth ever trying an e-cigarette. Locally, many teens are using marijuana or THC e-juice in their e-cigarettes, and studies have revealed that nicotine in e-cigarettes primes young brains for addiction, especially to substances like alcohol and more potentially dangerous drugs like opioids. The 60% of New York State's population covered by Tobacco 21 often benefits from including e-cigarettes in their policies. Tobacco 21 limits youth initiation, accessibility, and the social acceptability of these tobacco products, while also saving lives and reducing long-term health care costs. Raising the legal sale age of tobacco from 18 to 21 has helped other communities around the state who face the same pressing issues as we do here in Monroe County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the legislature body. My name is Michael Hogan, and I am a county retiree with over 21 years of service in law enforcement. In 2007, I sustained an injury in the line of duty. I suffered a catastrophic injury to my neck and spine. Over the years since then, I have had 6 surgeries, including a career-ending neurostimulator implant in my neck. Because I was found permanently totally disabled by Social Security, I became Medicare eligible before the 65-year-old limit. I was advised that because I was Medicare eligible, that my health insurance would be changed to a gap insurance. I have now been forced off this program. Since the only rationale for the county changing my insurance was that I was disabled and on Medicare, this is a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, Title II, which holds municipalities responsible. I have notified the county executive of this issue, and she has chosen not to reply. Surprise. Therefore, I have filed a complaint with the Department of Justice, the Civil Rights Division. My complaint contends that the present policy discriminates against the disabled. How could it not, seeing the only reason I was given for the policy downgrade was because I was disabled? That was it. That was their rationale. I realize the immense pressure that is being brought down on the members of this body to support the administration's position on this matter. I caution anyone who is thinking of listening to these modern-day boss tweeds because, let's be honest, they are asking you to turn your back on faithful public servants. If you do this, you will be setting a dangerous precedent. You will be telling everyone that the County of Monroe does not keep its commitments and they don't value their employees. It is up to this body and every member, regardless of political affiliation, to prove that Monroe County values its employees and can be trusted and keep its commitments. This is not a political issue. It is a question of honor. If you keep your word and honor these commitments, this community will be blessed with public servants who will serve honorably. You will set the example. For those that support the county's discriminatory practices, I can only say that you should be ashamed. Your lack of moral courage to stand up for what is right and your lack of honor will follow you in the future. We will make sure that anyone that supports this administration's actions will be subjected to public scrutiny. How you react to this issue will be a test of the honor of this legislative body. Hopefully, there are members with enough intestinal fortitude to ignore the twisting arm of the political bosses and county administrators, and a just remedy will be found. Thank you, brothers.
Never take a solemn oath. People think you mean it. Pay attention to that. Because to its end, it's true. When we take a solemn oath, whether it's as a deputy sheriff, the county exec, or a member of the legislature, people have an understanding about our oath, and that is that we mean it. So what does that have to do with my reason for being here tonight? It's simple. Solemn oath is a promise. It's a sign of integrity. It's a binding agreement. It's too bad that the county exec and the legislature, represented by its Human Resources Office, do not take their oath seriously. Over the past few years, the county has taken it upon itself to change a binding agreement without negotiating with the unions, to wit the collective bargaining agreements, also known as the contracts, with the 3 unions representing the Monroe County Sheriff's deputies. Specifically, the county has violated the collective bargaining agreement by changing the health care plans for retirees. These health care plans were negotiated with and agreed to by the county over 40 years ago and are in every contract. I know this because I was on 2 negotiating teams in the 80s and 90s. That agreement states in sum and substance that whatever plan a retiree had while working full-time, he or she will keep that plan in retirement at no cost to the retiree. All retirees understand that when they turn 65, Medicare becomes their primary health care plan, and the plan they retired with becomes their supplemental plan, but they do not lose that plan. The county would like the deputies in the community to believe that dropping the retirees from their health care plan has been going on for over 40 years. That's not just an error statement. That's an outright lie. And that was presented to the public by the director of the county's Human Resources, Brayton Connard. In addition, to rationalize that egregious lie, the county has said that they have a better health care plan for the retirees than what we have already. Really? Do you think we're stupid? Do you think that we'd be here tonight arguing against a better plan? You as the county exec, you as the county legislature, are the oversight managers of all county offices. And the policies have turned your and you've turned your back on us and allowed Mr. Connard and Ms. Deborah Wood to do whatever they want in Human Resources, even if it means to violate a binding agreement, specifically with regard to negotiated agreements concerning retired deputies' health care plans. I'll submit to you that you have until November of 2018 to rein in Mr. Connard and Ms. Wood and provide better oversight on the Human Resources Office, the collective bargaining agreements by ensuring that the county abides by the agreements, and to stop changing and or removing retirees from their health care plans and return the health care plans to those retirees who have had their plans taken away. If this is not done, I'll give you my solemn oath that the deputy sheriffs will be out in force on Election Day in 2018 and 2019 if necessary, as will their families and their friends and their friends and families. Guess what we're going to vote for? It won't be you. If you think we don't have enough to do that, why don't you talk to Patrick O'Flynn? Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Ewell Lee, Edward Ramsberger, and Carol Hulzinger.
Good evening. My name is Ewell Lee, and I'm a physician in preventive medicine, and I'd like to talk to you about Tobacco 21. The rationale for this is that smoking is the leading preventable cause of premature death in the United States, with close to 500,000 deaths per year due to smoking. Over 90% of adult smokers smoke their first cigarette before age 18. and over 3,000 people younger than age 18 smoke their first cigarette every day. Now, in the normal adolescent brain, the brain continues to develop throughout adolescence and make some very important changes. The prefrontal cortex, associated with executive control and decision-making, reorganizes to develop into the adult brain. There is substantial development of the connectivity between the emotional and the cognitive areas of the brain. When adolescents smoke, smoking during adolescence has been associated with lasting cognitive and behavioral changes, including effects on working memory and attention. Functional MRIs show that young smokers had reduced prefrontal activation during attentional tasks when compared to their non-smoking counterparts. Animal models have shown lasting changes due to nicotine in their brain. So in conclusion, preventing tobacco use, especially e-cigarettes in adolescents, is an important public health issue. Thank you.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for letting me speak here this evening. I want to save my time for my words. I had a prepared speech, but what can I add to what Mike has already said, Joe Amarise, who just spoke a minute or two ago? These guys I know for a fact Joe saved the lives of 2 judges. He is Court Security Bureau, putting himself in between the judge and some schmuck. What else can I say, folks? Wake up. I want to thank my brothers and sisters here from CSEA, County Fire Department, our Peller. Thank you for supporting us. You're all voters. I bring myself to these words because in the past, personally, words of misinformed, ungrateful have been said to us. What are you talking about? $600, $50 a month? I just paid $65 to my urologist Thursday and $1,700 yesterday for my dentist. Where's $600 going? You're attacking our integrity. Part of my speech was going to talk about how many times I've put my hand on the Bible to swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We've all done that. We've put people in jail for a long time. We've enforced the laws of the state of New York. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Don't go after our integrity. As Joe said, we wouldn't be up here if this plan was any better than what we had when we walked out the door, which contractually was agreed upon. How many times have some of you placed your hand on the Bible? At least once when you got sworn in. Don't listen to us. Go to your constituents. Go out and talk to people like we have. I'm saddened that this has to boil down to politics. I tried to stay away from that, and I started with Al Skinner, so I know a little bit about politics. But listen, folks, this is dire straits. We've tried other forms of communications, and I ask you to look what has happened in the recent election. 1,800 people got the letter, the atomic letter as we call it. We're not going away. 2 years till the next election isn't that far away. We're going to be here. We're going to remember who supports us. And I thank you, folks. I would like to wish, on a better note, everybody a very Merry Christmas and a safe and Happy New Year. Thank you for letting me have this time.
Hi, everybody. My name's Carol Halsizer. You guys are a little intimidating, you know, a tough crowd over here, no smiles. I came today as a grandmother of a little girl that's 6 years old. She's been under the watchful eye of CPS since she was 2 due to the heroin addiction of my son and her now deceased mother. It's been a lot of ups and downs in our lives and a lot of problems. And I've gotten to see CPS in action from the perspective of a caring grandmother. I've taken foster care classes, and I've really done my best to try to understand the system. It has some failings, and I'm here today not to complain about those. I have a solution. I have a proposal that will help CPS workers be able to recognize addiction. They will be with somebody that will go on calls with them when they're called to a home where drug addiction is suspected, and the person will be trained to be able to recognize the different signs. This will allow the CPS worker to focus on the well-being of the child. The program that I'm talking about is modeled after the CASA program, which some of you might be familiar with, but it goes into more detail. It's more specific to drug use. I have some statistics for you. Alcohol and drug use are the two top risk factors that lead to child abuse. Up to 2/3 of all child abuse cases involve substance use. Children whose parents abuse alcohol or drugs are 3 times more likely to be abused and 4 times more likely to be neglected. 2/3 of people in treatment for drug abuse report being abused or neglected as a child. I suggest that Monroe County tap into the grassroots efforts. I'm on the front line along with Recovery Now and Mission Recovery and Hope. And if you can tap into their enthusiasm and their eagerness to help, as a community, we can work together to attack this problem. Thank you.
Our last speaker is David Topa.
Good evening. My name is David Topa. I'm a pediatrician at Pittsford Pediatrics. I'm here to represent the child advocacy community as well as area pediatricians who, as many of you are aware, stood up over the course of the last few months to request that the county address the CPS crisis that was putting many of our vulnerable children in danger. And I'm coming just to express a few or send a couple messages. One is one of gratitude. As a child advocate, the movement that I've seen from the county this year has been unprecedented, both in measures to bolster CPS resources, as well as put in place measures at CPS to improve child outcomes, as well as the commitment on the part of the county to fund those preventive service programs that have been shown to reduce child abuse. In addition to that, I bring a message of caution in that you have done the morally responsible thing in raising the priority of poor children within our community. But I also urge you to do the fiscally responsible thing as well. Let's attention to see where the funds go. Make sure that we are funding evidence-based, evidence-proven measures and programs. It's one thing to spend money because we think it makes us feel good about what we're doing, but it's another thing to make sure that money does go to evidence-based programs. So I urge you all to make sure, follow through on this promise, make sure that the right programs are being funded. And finally, as a child advocate, and I speak for many pediatricians when I say this, I hope this is the first step in what could be a good relationship between us and the county in terms of making sure that we are doing whatever is possible to go ahead and make sure that we're taking care of the most vulnerable children in our community. So thank you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Have a good night.
This concludes the public forum.
Before we move on to the next item on the agenda, I'd like to take a moment to recognize my great supervisor from the town of Pittsford who has joined us this evening. Bill Smith is with us in the audience. Bill, wave. There he is. He's my supervisor. And almost as importantly, he's my predecessor in the Monroe County Legislature. 10 years ago, he had to leave due to term limits, and he moved on to great things in the town of Pittsford. And as some of you know, tonight is my last night in the Monroe County Legislature, again due to term limits. And I'd also like to welcome Howard Mafucci. So this is a Daniele sandwich. Howard Mafucci is the legislator-elect in the 10th District, representing Pittsford, East Rochester, and a little bit of Brighton. And Howard, welcome. He'll be joining this body in January. So at this time, I will recess the legislature to hold public hearings before the Pure Waters Administrative Board. I declare open the public hearing on resolution entitled Establishing a Scale of Charges for the Gates Chili Ogden Sewer District, County Sewer District of County of Monroe, New York.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed. I declare open the public hearing on resolution entitled Establishing Scale of Charges for the Irondequoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, a county sewer district for the County of Monroe, New York.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed. I now declare open the public hearing on resolution entitled Establishing the Scale of Charges for the Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, County Sewer District for the County of Monroe, New York.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed. I now declare open the public hearing on resolution entitled Establishing a Scale of Charges for the Rochester Pure Waters District, County Sewer Waters District for the County of Monroe, New York.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
At this time, we will recess the December 12th, 2017 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature and convene the Pure Waters Administrative Board for the Gates Chili Ogden Sewer District, Irondequoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, and Rochester Pure Waters District. If there are no objections regarding referral 17-0290, we will lift from the table all 4 districts with 1 vote and adopt 4 districts again with 1 vote. The clerk will see to it that individual motion resolution numbers are assigned to each. Madam Clerk, please note the attendance and read the first item on the agenda.
PWEB agenda item numbers 1, 4, 7, and 10, referral 17-0290.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is a motion to lift from the table. All in favor? Any opposed? Next item, please.
PWEB agenda item numbers 2, 5, 8, and 11, referral 17-0290.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item. Oh, I'm sorry. If there are no objections regarding referral number 17-0312, we will again adopt all 4 districts with 1 vote. Madam Clerk.
PWEB agenda item numbers 3, 6, 9, and 12 for referral 17-0312.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
PWEB agenda item number 13, referral 17-0314.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Items carry. We will now recess the Gates Chili Ogden Sewer District, Irondequoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, the Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, and the Rochester Pure Waters District, and adjourn the Pure Waters Administrative Board. The December 12th, 2017 meeting of the Legislature is now reconvened. We will now recess for the purpose of holding a public hearing. I declare open the public hearing resolution intro number 395 of 2017 entitled Schedule and Hold Public Hearing, Approve the Submission of a Grant Application to and Authorize the Acceptance of Grant Funding from New York State Office of Community Renewal for the New York State Imminent Threat Program Lake Ontario Flood Relief Funding.
There are no speakers registered for this hearing.
There being none, I declare this public hearing closed and reconvene the December 12th, 2017 meeting of this Monroe County Legislature. We will now proceed with the consideration of local laws. Will the clerk please call the first item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 17-0342 LL.
Moved by Legislator Connolly, seconded by Legislator Taylor. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 2, referral 17-0342 LL.
Moved by Legislator Connolly, seconded by Legislator Taylor. This is a motion to table. All in favor? Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 3, referral 17-0342, LL.
Moved by Legislator Connolly, seconded by Legislator Taylor. This is to set the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. We will now proceed with the consideration of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Item number 4, referral 17-0289.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. This is a motion to lift from the table. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 5, referral 17-0289.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 6, referral 17-0291.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is a motion to lift from the table. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 7, referral 17-0291.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 8, referral 17-0343.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. This is a motion to lift from the table. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 9, referral 17-0343.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. This is a motion to adopt. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? No, okay, we won't do that. We won't do that. Legislator Lightfoot. This motion was moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Discussion, Legislator Lightfoot. Even I wouldn't do that on my last night. So.
Keep me good here. I'd like to make a motion to amend the budget into number 398 of 2017.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Legislator Cayley or Legislator Muyo.
So as that goes out, it's quite simple and
Legislator, if you would give us just a moment, so
a couple of more minutes,
just so we can get a copy of it and take a quick read of it.
Well, we're just going to give an overview. No worries. So, Mr. President, may I speak?
One moment. I just want to, if I could ask the law department to please review and let me know if this is in order.
Just a simple amendment, Mr. President.
I understand Legislator Lightfoot, but we do have to make sure that it is in order before we discuss it.
Mr. President, we've reviewed the proposed amendment, and it's not out of order.
It's not out of order.
Thank you so much.
Legislator Marinetti, yes.
Mr. President, I should rise because I have not had a chance to see this amendment beforehand. This is the first time I'm seeing it.
if we were going to consider it, I would have liked more time to review it in addition to just this evening on the floor of the legislature. For that reason, I am going to move to table this amendment.
Second.
I have a motion to table and a second.
Yeah.
It's been moved and seconded, and there is a motion to table on the floor, which is appropriate. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
I argue that, Mr.
I
President.
believe it's a non-debatable motion. Mr.
Unfortunately, a motion to table is not
there's a
debatable.
motion on the floor, and it needs to be discussed and then voted upon, whether it's voted up or down or not. That's just Robert's rules.
Right now, we have a motion to table Legislator Lightfoot, which is not debatable. And so at this point, we will ask for a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, on the motion to table.
Excuse me, Mr. President, point of information. You had respectfully asked this legislator to wait until it was discussed at that table before he addressed it. But rather than allowing him to address it, you then allowed the majority leader to make a tabling motion. That is, in best of terms, not in fair play.
Mr. President, again,
Yes.
this is a non-debatable motion, I believe. I would
Right.
call.
There is a motion to table on the floor. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Marinetti?
Yes.
Ms. Cayley?
No.
Mr. Elkoffer? Mr. Ansello? Mr. Baroth? Ms. Boyce? Mr. Brew? Mrs. Brown? Dr. Carbone? Mrs. Conley? Mr. Delahanty?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFlorio? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Felder? Mr. Flagler Mitchell? Ms. Harris? Mr. Hebert? Mr. Howland? Mr. Lightfoot? Mr. Michikay? Mr. Morelli? Mr. Moyo? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Shepard? Ms. Taylor? Mr. Terp? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Zale? President Daniele?
Yes.
19 to 10, motion passes.
Is there any other discussion?
Who you want?
Ladies first. Legislator
Just
Cayley.
point of information, are you asking for discussion on what was tabled or going forward?
No, we're discussing this resolution. We're discussing the budget.
I'd like to, excuse me. Sorry. I have another motion.
Legislator Lightfoot.
Thank you so much for recognizing me. I have another motion. My other motion, where's that sheet of paper? Okay, great. I'd like to make a motion to lift the table of the said motion. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you.
So you're making a motion to lift from the table?
His said motion.
Well,
Can you call a roll call vote for that, please, sir, or discussion?
yes, I just want to make sure we're clear. There is a motion on the floor. Legislator Lightfoot made the motion. I have a second, Legislator Cayley, to lift from the table the amendment that you just introduced and was tabled. Is that correct? Okay. We have a motion to lift from the table. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Mr. Marinetti?
No.
Ms. Cayley? Mr. Elkoffer? Mr. Ansello? Mr. Baroth? Ms. Boyce? Mr. Brew? Mrs. Brown? Dr. Carbone? Mrs. Conley? Mr. Delahanty? Mrs. DeFlorio? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Felder? Mr. Flagler Mitchell? Ms. Harris? Mr. Hebert? Mr. Howland? Mr. Lightfoot? Mr. Michikay? Mr. Morelli? Mr. Moyo? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Shepard? Ms. Taylor? Mr. Terp? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Zale? President Daniele.
No.
10 to 19, motion fails.
Back to the main motion, 17-0343, the budget. Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to make a motion to amend.
Seconded by the lady behind.
Seconded by Legislator Lachey Harris. Do I get one or do I not get one?
Oh, I figure it's going to go the same way anyway, so.
I don't know. I gotta look at it.
You don't need to read it.
You want mine?
Again, if I could ask the law department to review this amendment. Is this amendment different?
Mr. President, again, this is not out of order.
Mr. President, and I would move to table for the same reasoning that I provided for the last amendment.
I have a motion to table by Legislator Marionetti, seconded by Legislator Delahanty.
I don't know that reasoning. What's that reasoning? You gotta give a reasoning. You just can't say because the last one. You gotta say something.
You can make a motion to table.
My reasoning again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once again, I would have preferred to have this amendment beforehand. I believe that if we were seriously going to consider an amendment, it's not unreasonable to have it beforehand so that we can consider it. And I would have thought maybe the other side would have lobbied for their amendment. And because I think there was a request for me to explain. Because there wasn't a request to receive them ahead of time, I feel if it wasn't, it could be just politicizing what I think is a good budget. So for that reason, if I haven't seen it ahead of time, I am making a motion to table. That's my explanation.
So we have a motion to table and a second. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please. It's a non-debatable motion, but you have a question?
Point of information.
So
Point of information.
the point I'm advised to say to me is that that means that the majority won't be offering any amendments either because we haven't had a chance to see those. Am I correct in that assumption?
I would say that if they made it, I mean, anybody has the right to make a motion to table. I guess I would put it that way. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Marionetti?
Yes.
Ms. Cayley?
No.
Mr. Alcoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Ansello?
Yes.
Mr. Baroth? Ms. Boyce? Mr. Brew? Mrs. Brown? Dr. Carbone? Mrs. Conley? Mr. Delahanty? Mrs. DeFlorio? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Felder? Mr. Flagler Mitchell? Ms. Harris? Mr. Hebert? Mr. Howland? Mr. Lightfoot? Mr. Michike? Mr. Morelli? Mr. Moyo? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Shepard? Ms. Taylor? Mr. Terp? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Zale? President Daniele?
Yes.
19 to 10, motion to table passes.
Any further discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to lift the just tabled motion amendment from the table.
Do I have a second? Motion to lift from the table. Legislator Cayley, do I have a second? Going once?
Second.
Going twice. Seconded by Legislator Lightfoot. We have a second. All right. A motion to lift the just tabled amendment from the table, moved by Legislator Cayley, seconded by Legislator Lightfoot. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Marionetti?
No.
Ms. Cayley? Yes. Mr. Alcoffer? No. Mr. Ansello? Mr. Baroth? Ms. Boyce? Mr. Brew? Mrs. Brown? Dr. Carbone? Mrs. Conley? Mr. Delahanty? Mrs. DeFlorio? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Felder? Mr. Flagler Mitchell? Ms. Harris? Mr. Hebert? Mr. Howland? Mr. Lightfoot? Mr. Michike? Mr. Morelli? Mr. Moyo? Mr. Rocco? Mr. Shepard? Ms. Taylor? Mr. Terp? Mr. Wilcox? Mr. Zale? President Daniele?
No.
10 to 19, motion fails.
Legislator Lightfoot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to explain my vote. Thank
You have
you.
the floor.
I don't need to wait.
No.
Thank you. Mr. President, to the administration and my fellow legislators, our probation department supervises thousands of adults and juvenile offenders. They assist judges in decision-making and provide pretrial services and reentry programming. They have been recognized for the accomplishment of the Swift, Certain, and Fair, a national evidence-based program aimed at violent gang-involved probationers. Mr. President, in our last introduction of the amendment, I really would have liked to have a chance to at least say these words, because anything else is really a short of freedom of speech for our people. To table could have been fine, but after I said, for the record, I believe that the budget is a good budget. And I had to really tussle with myself because it upset me, because I want to vote for the budget, but in spite, I want to do something else, right? But I have to work through all that because there's more ways than one to skin a cat. And I needed to say what I needed to say for the people. It's our right for freedom of speech. And to silence us is just short of why we're here. So it was hard for me to argue as I explained my vote in the middle of the frustration that the move to table should have been after what was said on the floor, because the people have not been able to speak yet. We've been silenced. That's all. So thank you.
Legislator, you're welcome to stand up and say it all over again if you'd like. You have the floor, and you will have the floor if you ask for it again.
No, I'm working on something. Thank you.
All right, I got you. I'm with you. Any other discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Following somewhat in my colleague's mode of approach, to explain my vote for this year's budget, but before I do that, I do want to thank Mr. Franklin for, again, moving us forward in a positive direction, in a more transparent method and better practices as a whole. And it's my hope that this continues to happen. But that said, I'm still not in favor of this budget, and I wasn't in favor of the budget prior to my amendment being voted to be tabled in a fashion that was less than, well, I guess I would echo free speech in some ways, but reasoning given to any tabling of an amendment in the middle of a legislative discussion of a budget is less than genuine. There was no reason to share these amendments prior to, because in past practice, and I emphasize the two words past practice, when we have shared, they have either been tabled or eviscerated, which was the case last year. And my colleague across the aisle did not expect us to take any more time to consider his amendment of my amendment than I would have expected him to understand my amendment. And because the legal eagles at the table found no problem with it, the fact that the majority leader needed more time to consider something that most likely wouldn't have passed is not accepted, and I don't consider that past practice, and I don't feel that we have to share amendments beforehand when this is the behavior that ensues when we're in this legislature. There are a few people out there, I would like them to know what the amendment said because they have no idea. The amendment was to add a modest $700,000 to daycare that would allow the uncovered 200 children, at least 100 of them to be covered. Our estimates are 527 children are added to the rolls. $950,000 was coming in from the Upstate Initiative. That would cover 300, 200 went uncovered, which meant 200 families would not get services. By diverting $700,000 from that particular line, it would have encouraged the ability to enroll 100 extra children into daycare, creating a more successful situation for the families and the children themselves. This is a long-term goal. This is long-sighted. It's not short-term. It may cost us more money to pay back retirements that have been deferred. However, this is a more genuine use of the money. To cover children for daycare practice, it just creates the stability that a family needs and the ability for a family to move on up and off the rolls. That is what we are here to do. We are here to serve our constituents, whether they are the immediate taxpayers or not. They are the people that we serve just as well as the people that pay the tax rolls. So aside from my compliments to the budget, because at first I didn't think it was that bad, I am not in favor of passing it this evening, and I think that the behavior in the legislature tonight was almost as egregious as last year's. Thank you.
Legislator Felder. Panicked there for a second. You all right?
For the most part, I believe this is a good budget. I'm appreciative of the fact that particularly the CPS issue was dealt with in a very meaningful way. And I just want to make sure, I'll be looking to make sure that we actually see the substance of what's there to make sure that things are actually being implemented. And I'll trust that that happens, but we'll be watching. And also with the child care increase. I do want to say that not only with the discussion tonight with regard to the retiree health care, but the union contracts that continue to be what's the word? No, unnegotiated, not ratified, not, for years is a problem. I think, those of us who have salary positions, we know what we're getting, and some of us make good money. And for the people who work hard in places like the jails and on the streets and in the courts, they deserve to have certainty in their contracts and know what they're going to be making from year to year and not have to wait 4 and 5 years, sometimes longer, to have their contracts negotiated. And I would like to see the administration in that practice of playing hardball to the point with people where they just don't have anything and just have to keep going for what they had the year before, year on year on year. So that, with that caveat, I will be voting for this budget, but I would like to see in the coming year those contracts negotiated and ratified so we can move on from that discussion about our working people in this county, either those who are still working or those who are retired, feel like they're being done in by us. Because when they look, sometimes they don't look, even though the control is really on that side, they don't look that they look at the county legislature and they think we're all doing this, and it's not all of us. But it makes all of us look bad. So that's in the public, and from a political standpoint, I don't think it's good politics to be doing this to people. You saw the gentleman issue a threat tonight with regard to the retiree health care. So I think it behooves all of us to really look to work together to find solutions to these issues and get these things straightened out for the future so that we can deal with the issues that are at hand in a real way and not still be reaching back always dealing with stuff that should have been dealt with a long time ago. With that, I'll sit down.
Legislator Muyo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to rise to explain my vote, echoing some of the statements of my colleagues. I think that this budget is a step in the right direction. However, I will be voting against this budget based on the MCC chargebacks. I know that that's an issue that was litigated in the past. I don't think that it's something that should become embedded and regularized. The splitting up the MCC chargebacks by the smaller municipalities within the county is simply unjust. There's really no proper reason for doing that. It's kind of arbitrary. And I believe that MCC provides a benefit for the entire county and even outside of our county, and that the charges that MCC incurs should be borne by the entire county and not lowered down to each municipality. We could lower it down to the participation by zip code. We could lower it down by participation by street or by school district, but we don't. We do it by town. And I think that that's arbitrary and unreasonable, so I'm voting against that on that principle. I do want to congratulate the administration on the CPS inclusions, the increase in child care subsidies, and thank you very much for your time.
Any further discussion? Legislator Marianetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just rise to express my support for this budget. I, too, would like to thank Mr. Franklin, the Finance Department, County Executive Denolfo, and the entire staff. I think it's a fantastic budget, keeping the property tax rate flat while protecting the quality of life issues, and I think it shows great priorities in funding. So, again, I would just like to thank the entire administration for their work on this budget. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Legislator. Is there any further discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise to explain my vote. I will be, while I appreciate Mr. Franklin's work and the work of the staff, as the Majority Leader mentioned, the taxes remain flat, which is a flat-out lie. Taxes continue to increase in this county with the use of chargebacks and several other ways in which we're not telling the true story to the people of Monroe County. The taxes are not what we continue to say are flat. So because of that and other issues that have been brought up by my colleagues, I will be voting no tonight on the budget. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Going once? Going twice? Madam Clerk, roll call vote on item number 17-343, the budget.
Mr. Marianetti?
Yes.
Ms. Cayley? No. Mr. Alcoffer? Yes. Mr. Ansello?
Yes.
Mr. Baroth?
Yes.
Ms. Boyce?
Yes.
Mr. Brew? Yes. Mrs. Brown? Yes. Dr. Carbone?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley? Mr. Delahanty?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFlorio?
Yes.
Mrs. Draw?
Yes.
Mr. Felder?
Yes.
Mr. Flagler Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Harris? Yes. Mr. Hebert?
Yes.
Mr. Howland?
Yes.
Mr. Lightfoot? Pardon me? Yes. Mr. Michike? Mr. Morelli? Mr. Moyo? No. Mr. Rocco? Yes. Mr. Shepard?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Terp?
Yes.
Mr. Wilcox?
Yes.
Mr. Zale?
Yes.
President Daniele?
Yes.
26-3, resolution passes.
At this time, I will ask for, who am I going to ask? I will I will command that there be a short recess. How's that? Right? I think I can do that. One last time, I will command a recess. No, I recess this legislature for probably right around 5 minutes. What is it called? What are we doing? Yeah. Legislators, if you would please take your seats. I think so. Huh? All right. Thank you for your patience, legislators. At this time, I would like to proceed with items number 73 through 81, which were just uploaded to your agenda. Please refresh your tablets. After these items, we will return to the regular agenda. Does everybody follow that? We're good? Legislator Wilcox, you good? All right. No, all right. No leapfrog for you today, okay. All right. Madam Clerk, please read the next item.
Item number 73, referral 17-0380.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 74, referral 17-0381.
Hold on, we're getting a refresh. That's one way to get the capital budget passed. I think we just passed the capital. Yeah, right. And we're good. All right. Yeah, there you go. It already passed, Cindy. Yeah. Yeah. We good to go?
Yes, it is. It's Carla.
You going to move it? All right. All right. Madam Clerk, item number 74, please.
Yep, item number 74, referral 17-0381.
Moved by Legislator Boyce and Flagler Mitchell, seconded by Legislator Brew. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Broth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the administration, could the administration indicate if there are any changes from past charges from last year? Thank you. Because I ain't going to find out.
Mr. President, the scale of charges is the same as 2017.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 75, referral 17-0382.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Broth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the administration, could the administration please describe the purpose of this referral briefly? Thank you.
I was looking at my wife, not you.
Oh. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Mr. President, this particular referral is generally brought to this body in December. It is what we call the fourth quarter reappropriations. So it allows us to align the needed expenditures in certain departments with available appropriations elsewhere, or it allows us to, one of these items, Mr. President, allows us to appropriate additional revenue received from New York State to support its related appropriation.
Thank you. And through the President, just one clarification. Are we speaking about the 2017 or 2018 budgets at this point in time, through the President?
Mr. President, this pertains to the 2017 budget.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next item.
Item number 76, referral 17-0383.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Brough.
Never mind.
Never mind heard. Any further discussion? There being none, Legislator Lightfoot.
So, through you, Mr. Do I have to stand?
Yeah. I like it when you stand.
I don't. No, I get confused. Through you, Mr. President, to the administration, is this referral telling us that we will reach our 100% full value to be taxed on for real property? Through you, Mr. President, to the administration. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
I understand that our properties are assessed at different values, and we've been working to reach 100% if we are not already at 100%, and I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Through the President, the equalization table shows the different equalization rates for the different municipalities, okay, and what's changed over the year from the prior assessment roll. And along with the equalization rates, it will then equalize the values across the county in order to be able to apportion the county tax levy.
So you, through Mr. President, to the administration, is the county of Monroe at 100%?
Through the chair, the county of Monroe is not at 100%. There are several towns across the county that are not at 100%, so therefore the county equalization rate is below 100%.
So through you, Mr. President, to the administration, when do you think that we will reach full 100% assessment?
Through the President, that's difficult to say. There are several towns that are doing updates for the 2018 assessment roll. We would hope that more continue to do that to get us back to the level of 100%.
Thank you.
Legislator Cayley.
Mr. President, through you to the administration, is there a deadline in current year or next year or whatever for all the not assessed at full value meeting that requirement?
Through the President, there is no state law that requires them to be at 100%. State law just requires them to be at an equal level of assessment for all the properties in a given municipality.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 77, referral 17-0384.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Legislator Muyo.
Thank you. Would it be possible to get a brief explanation of what exactly the process is that we are approving in this matter of urgency through the President to the administration? Thank you.
Through the President, these are unpaid school taxes that were unpaid by the date of November 15th. This will allow those unpaid school taxes to be added to the town and county tax bill coming out in January.
Mr. President, just for clarification, the tax amounts will be added onto the specific properties that did not make the payments in the previous year. Is that correct?
Through the President, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 78, referral 17-0385.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 79, referral 17-0386.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Muyo.
If I could just have a brief explanation of this referral from the administration, that'd be great, through the President.
Through the President, could you repeat the question?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Legislator Baroff. My apologies.
Yeah, we're kind of here. So the question essentially was if the administration, through the President, could provide a brief explanation of this referral, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Through the President, these are independently billed sewer and water charges in the various towns that have been unpaid, and permission to add those to the individual properties that did not pay their sewer and water charges to their tax bills on the county tax bill.
Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 80, referral 17-0387.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Muyo. I'm sorry, Baroff.
Did it again.
Yeah. Again. You figure I'd be good at it by now.
I mean, I know I'm handsome. I'm not that handsome. Through the President to the administration, again, if I could just have a brief explanation of this referral, it's just so I can understand what we're voting on. We're moving very quickly on a newfangled format here.
Through the President, this referral indicates the total tax levy throughout the county by municipality, indicating the county services charge and the total amount with including county taxes, pure waters, and town budgets.
Thank you.
Welcome. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 81, referral 17-0388.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Baroff.
Thank you. Again, through the President to the administration, if I could just have a brief explanation of this referral.
Through the President, these are the amounts needed by the individual towns for their general levy and their highway levy, allowing us to add those to the tax bills and collect the taxes needed to support their budgets.
Thank you. And through the President to the administration, are there any significant changes from last year's levy?
Through the President, I did not see any significant changes, no.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. We will now return to the regular agenda items. Madam Clerk. Legislator Marionetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to make a motion that we move agenda items 10 through 67 and move that they be considered through one vote of this body.
Do I have a second? Legislator Cayley. I have a motion to move items number 10 through 67. Motion made by Legislator Marionetti, seconded by Legislator Cayley. Legislator Muyo, did you have a question?
I'd like to ask a question on item number 62.
All right, so why don't we, if there's no objection, we'll move items number 10 through 67 with the exception of item number 62. Is that okay, yes, Legislator Marionetti, seconded by Legislator Cayley? So moving items number 10 through 67 with the exception of number 62. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Items carry. We will now move to item number 62.
Item number 62, referral 17-0348.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Legislator Muyo.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your consideration. I do have a question about this matter. Through you, Mr. President, to the administration, could you briefly explain what this referral is regarding?
Is that working? Yeah. Through the President, Ray Miller from Harder, Seacrest, and Emery on behalf of the Monroe County Water Authority. This is a proposal to approve an advance refunding of tax-exempt bonds by the authority. Obviously, there is a lowered interest rate and interest rate savings from the financing. Did you have any specific questions, or?
I guess I'd like an answer as to why this is being done right now and as a matter of importance through you, Mr. President, to the administration.
Through the President, the tax reform that's pending at the federal level, the House bill calls for, actually both the House and the Senate versions call for the repeal of advance refunding bonds. So advance refunding bonds are refunding the bonds before they're callable. In other words, you tell the public market you'll let them have the bonds for a minimum of 10 years, and this lets you refinance them before that time. Obviously, doing so puts two sets of tax-subsidized paper on the street at the same time, so the federal government's trying to do away with that. So this is something that only occurred in November, late November and early December for the tax bill. So the Water Authority, through its financial advisor, was advised that it should pursue an advance refunding before the window closes, so to speak.
Thank you for that. And if you can't answer this question, through you, Mr. President, to the administration, is removing this type of ability by a municipality, is it going to raise federal revenue, or is that what is expected through deleting or removing the ability of a municipality to do that? Is this a pay-for in terms of the federal deficit?
Yes, through you, Mr. President. Yes, this. I think the federal administration would say that having multiple tax-exempt subsidies at the same time is, by eliminating the ability to do that, would save money for the budget.
Thank you. And over time, through you, Mr. President, would a removal of the Water Authority or other municipalities to be able to do this, would that cause the Water Authority harm in terms of budgeting?
The ability to do an advance refunding would hurt any municipality across the country or public authority. So hurt, I mean, we were granted the subsidy by the federal government. I suppose they can take it away.
Thank you. But through you, Mr. President, it's not a benefit to the Water Authority or other municipalities. Is that correct?
Through the President, yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. I believe the next item is item number 68. Madam Clerk.
Item number 68, referral 17-0354.
Moved by Legislator Terp, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is to adopt. Legislator Baroth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through the President to the administration, what projects are scheduled for 2018?
Through the President, this is actually a term consulting contract whereby the county would authorize contracts with the 3 reference consultants for various projects that may come up through the course of the year.
Thank you. Then in which case, through the President, why is this an MOI?
Through the President, the contract expires for the 3 incumbent consultants effective end of this month. So to maintain the continuity of the contract into the new year, we desire to bring it forward as a matter of urgency in order that it be in place 1st of 2018.
Thank you. Again, but through the President, I mean, I understand that we want to have this contract maintained through 2018. That makes sense. But since the contract ended at the end of this year, and we must have known that ahead of time, why is this an MOI? Why did this not come before the regular committee process?
Through the President, we didn't get submitted early enough in the cycle for a regular introduction and adoption, so that left us with the option to bring it forward as a matter of urgency.
Okay. I'm not looking for a scapegoat, but through the President, was there a particular cause for why it wasn't submitted on time to go through the regular project, the regular guidelines process?
Order, that's not germane to the referral.
It's absolutely germane to this question. The question is whether or not this project needs to be, the contract needs to be continued or not. Clearly it does. Clearly it's important, but yet somehow we're giving this notification at the last second. This is not supposed to be how the process is done, particularly if it is well known ahead of time we're going to have it. I'm just curious, was something out of the ordinary, something unusual that resulted in the administration being incapable or perhaps made an error of submitting this through the regular process?
I have a point of order.
What's your point of order?
My point of order is that it's been stated, it's not in the referral, the administration has stated that they didn't get it in time, and it has to be finished by the end of this year, by the end of December.
And my question is why?
Question to the administration is why does it need to be completed?
No, sir. Why was it not submitted through the regular process? Why did it not get done in time to be part of the regular process? What prevented that from occurring?
Laura.
I'll allow the question one last time.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully.
Through the President, we do consultant selection annually. We followed the consultant selection process. We're bringing a number of referrals before the legislative body for authorization. You've seen a few in the previous submission. You'll see a few more that were introduced in December for January action, and you'll see yet again a few more that will be introduced in January, February. Some of these referrals, it was our belief that they could come in as proposed and that would not cause any undue hardship or problems in maintaining the continuity of services. There are a couple of term contracts actually that were introduced this evening that will be go to committee next week and acted on in January with hopefully. So with respect to this contract, that was the original thought process, is that we would introduce it in December for January authorization, and frankly, we missed that deadline and realized that there are services that we may want to engage the first of the year for the Parks Department, and so we're asking the courtesy of your consideration as a matter of urgency.
Thank you. Satisfactory.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 69, referral 17-0355.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Hebert. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 70, referral 17-0356.
Moved by legislator Taylor, seconded by legislator Draw. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 71, referral 17-0357.
Moved by Legislator Terp, seconded by Legislator Draw. This is to adopt. Legislator Brock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through the President to the administration, this referral has to do with the zoo tram and the giraffe feeding area. My question is, are those two areas currently open to the public?
Yes. Legislator Broth, if you don't mind repeating
Of course.
the question.
In regards to the giraffe feeding area and the zoo tram, are those two areas currently open to the public? During zoo hours, of course.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, those two areas are under construction. They'll be hopefully open July 1st.
July 1st of this year, 2018, correct?
Of 2018.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Legislator Cayley.
You almost look relieved. Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the administration. For the fact that the Zoo Society is to act as the county's ticket agent, are they also acting as ticketing agents for other parts of the zoo, or is this just it?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the Zoo Society currently acts as the county's agent at the front gate, and they collect gate admissions and sell memberships. They also sell food and gift at the zoo. So they handle all the money and then pay the county a percentage. So we felt that this would be the best way to handle these two amenities so that the county's not also handling money, that there's one entity handling money on the at the zoo.
Thank you. And then through the President, are the percentages the same, or do they vary depending on what they're selling, ticketing?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, great question. The percentages do vary. For instance, gate admission and membership, the county retains 61%, and the rest goes to Zoo Society. On concessions and gift shop, the county gets 7% of that. So this, since the county will be doing the actual work involved with both of these amenities, from the driving of the tram, operation and maintenance of the tram, and obviously keepers involved with the giraffes, we felt that the county would be entitled to the lion's share, so to speak, of
well done.
of that revenue, and as a administrative fee that the Zoo Society would get the 10%.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 72, referral 17-0358.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. There being no unfinished business, at this time I would like to ask the Honorable Tina Brown to please come forward and meet me at the podium. I would also ask that our County Executive Cheryl D'Onofo join me as well. All right, well, we are at the December meeting, and at this time I'd like to thank you, first of all, Legislator Brown. Legislator Brown was elected to the county legislature in November of 2015. In your time as a Monroe County legislator, you've served as Vice Chairman of the Human Services Committee, as well as a member of the Transportation Committee. You've represented the communities of Parma and Greece very well, and I know that you will go on to do many other great things for your community. You've shown dedication, hard work, and kindness in your time here in the legislative chambers, and thank you for your service. I personally have enjoyed working with you and have appreciated your working with me and our leaders and our administration. And I'm so proud at this time, as much as I'm sad to see you go, but it is an honor and a privilege to thank you for your service and your representation to your constituents. And with that, I have a plaque here for you, and thank you.
I too want to express my gratitude to Legislator Tina Brown for her service over the past 2 years. You know, as we work together as a legislature, we rely on each other. We rely on the relationships that we've formed. We rely on the ability to work together, and we rely upon the ability to really do our very best for our constituents. And I've got to tell you that I have seen Tina Brown, and I've observed her over the last 2 years, and she always has her constituents' best interest in her heart. But it's more than that. It's about her thoughtful, productive, respectful conversation. It's about her ability to communicate with all of us as to what is the best way to proceed on behalf of the taxpayers and the residents of the county of Monroe. In addition to that, I know that Tina is extremely dedicated to her family. And as we look at the community of Monroe, we know the foundation of the community of Monroe is our family, our families. And Tina knows that as well. I want to thank her for her years of dedication, not only here in the county legislature, but also in her prior experience in her community service in the town of Parma as well, having served on the town board there. She also was a great contributor to the Greece Chamber of Commerce, the Hilton Parma Chamber of Commerce as well. She's brought her dedication to our community and for her values as well here to the county legislature, and we appreciate it. On a personal note, I have to express to you, Tina, my gratitude for your service, your support, and you're always getting the job done on behalf of all of us here in the county administration, the county legislature, and the county of Monroe. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and we know that you will continue to be a valuable member and contributing member to our whole community. Thank you again for your service, and on behalf of a grateful county of Monroe, I do proclaim today, Tuesday, December 12th, to be Tina Brown Day in the county of Monroe as well. Congratulations, all the best.
I just want to thank all of you. It's been an honor working with each and every one of you, and I'll miss all of you. So thank you.
Would Vice President Dr. Joe Carbone please come forward?
Thank you all for being here tonight, our final meeting of the full legislature in 2017. Before we begin our final plaque presentation, I'd like to once again thank Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn and Legislator Tina Brown for their service to Monroe County. On behalf of all of us in the legislature, it has truly been a pleasure working with you both. Now I'd like to recognize the upcoming departure of a man who has led this honorable body for the last 2 years. President Anthony Daniele, who has served in the legislature since 2008. He immediately stood out as a leader who devoted countless hours to working and fighting hard for his constituents. Throughout his tenure, Anthony has always come to the table to work together with representatives on both sides of the aisle in an effort to make things better for our community. Throughout his time with the Monroe County Legislature, Anthony has chaired several committees: Intergovernmental Relations, Ways and Means, and Environment and Public Works. He also served on the Human Services, Planning and Economic Development, and Transportation committees. His ambition did not stop there. Earning the trust of his colleagues, Anthony served as majority leader in 2012 and 2013 before being elected vice president of the legislature in 2014, where he served until his unanimous election as president in January of 2016. The success Anthony has achieved in the legislature can be attributed to his strong family values that were instilled in him at a young age. His passion to put people first led to his success in both the private and public sectors. Going beyond his duties as county legislator, Anthony is also a founding member of the Dining Alliance Board and a member of the Friends of the Pittsford Library. He has also remained active with the Boy Scouts of America, himself having earned the rank of Eagle Scout. That's great. As a legislator and assuming the role of president of the legislature, you also take on responsibilities of serving on many boards or commissions throughout the county of Monroe, as well as regional groups. While in office, Anthony was a contributing member of the Monroe County Airport Authority and COMITA. As president, he also dutifully served on the board of directors of Monroe Community College, Rochester Riverside Convention Center, Rochester Museum and Science Center, Visit Rochester, and the Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council. Also, while serving as the president of the legislature, Anthony was the driving force behind the effort to go paperless, saving time, money, and resources by having all legislature documents now available on tablet. This change also allows greater access to the public by having agendas, referrals, and other documents readily available online. Anthony's family mantra has always been, "You are my special guest." And that is how he treated his constituents in the 10th District this past decade. In fact, I know the friendship that we share will continue well after Anthony's term ends here. Monroe County is truly a better place because of Anthony Daniele. With that, it is my honor to present you with a plaque in commemoration of your years of service to Monroe County. Thank you on behalf of all the legislators and staff to whom you have been a friend and a mentor. We wish you the best of luck in all your future endeavors.
I, too, want to offer my words of gratitude to Anthony Daniele. I have to tell you, however, though, just looking into the audience and looking at his dad, looking at Mario, and looking at the pride in his face and watching him videotape the presentation that was truly deserved by your son, Anthony. And the reason I mention Mario is because when I look at the Daniele family, when I look at Mario and his wife and his brother and Aaron and the kids and Anthony, I know that back in 2008, the right person was elected to hold the prestigious office of legislator representing Pittsford. And Anthony hasn't forgotten where he began, and as he's arisen through the ranks of leadership here in the legislature, he has never forgotten what it takes to be successful. He's never forgotten family. He's never forgotten his values. He's never forgotten about working hard. He's never forgotten about treating everyone fairly and honestly and openly. That's Anthony Daniele, and that is why he has been so successful in his career with the county legislature. I know that Dr. Joe Carbone went over all of Anthony's accomplishments, but I think after hearing what his legacy will be based on what he has accomplished in his years as a legislator, I think you will agree with me that every part of our community has been positively impacted by the service of Anthony Daniele and his leadership as well. That is why I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with Anthony for so many years. And I want to thank him for his great contributions, his friendship as well. And I have to tell you, Anthony, before I give you this plaque, I do want you to know that you cannot call point of order at the family table, okay? It will not be allowed. But we are grateful for your service, your dedication, and I know that your contributions will be long-lasting for generations to come. Thank you for your friendship. Congratulations on behalf of a grateful County of Monroe.
All right, wow. I say wow because I remember my first night in the legislature 10 years ago, or somewhere around there, sitting in the back row next to Steve Tucciarello, and thinking to myself, you know, it's the first year, I can be here for 10 years, this thing's going to last forever. And you know, there are legislators, former legislators in the room, Bill Rylick, Bill Smith, Steve Tucciarello, I think I got everybody, and, well, Carla Boyce, right? No, I'm just kidding, Carla. She's I couldn't help myself, right? You know, and when you're up here and you see other people giving their speeches when they're leaving, it's hard to believe that someday you'll be up there. And I guess tonight is the night. I've prepared some comments, and I will address them. But I want to start out, first and foremost, by saying thank you. Thank you for giving me the great honor to serve as your president in this Monroe County Legislature. As I reflect on the past 10 years in these chambers, and I ask myself, what will I remember most? It's really not the pieces of legislation. It's not the debates on the floor back and forth. It's really, what I'll remember most is Legislator Baroth asking, why is this why is this a matter of urgency, right? That's not what I'm going to remember the most. I'll remember Paul Haney preaching of the impending doom of the finances of the county that are going to happen any minute. And we listen to that over and over again. Huh? Next minute, that's right. And who can forget another legislator's first night, Joe Morelli, flopping over in his chair. Right? I mean, those are the things that you take with you forever. All kidding aside, the thing you remember most, the thing I will remember most, is the people that I've worked with and the people that I've gotten to know. As I get older, I think more about what mark will I leave. Is what I have done in our life relevant in the end? What are the events and people that have left an unforgettable and meaningful impression? There are a few people who have specifically impacted my experience here in the county legislature in a special way, and I'd like to take a second to thank them. First, I already mentioned him, Steve Tucciarello, a brother. I sat next to him again on my first year in the legislature. We sat in the back corner and trying to figure out what was going on with all this stuff back and forth, what were these motions. And Steve truly was a mentor, and I owe my knowledge of this body to Steve. He was a great guide. He is a great guide, a great compass, and a great friend. Thank you, Steve. I've also worked with some great leaders, specifically Brian Marionetti as our majority leader, Cindy Cayley as the minority leader, Cheryl Dinolfo as our, where'd she go? She left already? It's my day. It says it on the plan. Every day is my day? Cool. I'll remind my wife of that. Every day is my day. So we're going to rename the calendar. I can custom make that thing. It'll be cool. Bill Napier, Bill Smith, former majority leader, my supervisor. Chairman Bill Rylick, a great guide and teacher. And there's so many others. But I'd like to especially thank the staff of the majority office, the minority office, who work so hard and dedicate so much time to keep us organized. Diana, our clerk, and her staff for their keeping us organized and moving at a... If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be having this speech at 8:45, I can assure you of that. Pat Partyjack, man, a few words, let's face it. But Pat, they're great words, and you've always been there for me. And Pat is a personal friend, and I cherish that. Thank you, Pat. There is one person, however, who honestly I will miss the most, and who has tolerated, reminded, cleaned up after me for almost 10 years. Jamie, can you come up here for a second? You didn't think you were going to get off scot-free. I think I got a little something for you. So, Jamie truly has been a rock the entire time that I've been here, tolerated so much. Thank you, Jamie. You can go back now. You dropped something. Just so you know, Jamie is going on vacation at the end of the year, and with the help of Legislator Mike Rocco, that's a gift card to a restaurant where you're going on vacation. So enjoy dinner. That's what that is. Yeah, I thought it was a good idea. Thank you, Mike, for helping me out on that one. Yeah. And of course, you know, besides my experience here at the legislature, my family. Hard not to choke up. My dad's back there. My inspiration, and taught me everything I know. You know, I look around the room and I see some folks who have lost their father, lost their parents, and it's something I cherish, my mother and father. Couldn't have done it without you, Pop, and I appreciate the inspiration. My brother, Danny, sitting on the side there. One of the things you should know, as Dr. Joe is reading through all the stuff I've done in my life and all the stuff I've done over the past 10 years, I think it's fair to say I was looking for any excuse not to come to the office and work, and I think I did a pretty damn good job. So now next year I have to actually go to the office. I don't have any excuses anymore. And of course, my wife, Erin, my children, Bridget and Michael, are here. Yeah. For those of you who think I'm a pain in the ass, just imagine what it's like to live with me every day. So thank you, sweetie, for tolerating me. My friend Kevin Kenny's back there. He tolerates me, too, when she can't handle it, so that works out well. PG, I said I was going to swear once tonight. I think I made a bet for somebody, so I kept it pretty clean. So long story short, I will remember this time of my life having learned more about the people of our community, their stories they shared with us here at this podium, stories of tragedies and pain, broken lives, but stories of heroes and joy, sharing ideas with colleagues on both sides of the aisle to do what's right for our community, passing legislation together, which, again, 98% of what we do together, and some of it affects people's lives in such a positive way. Those are great things that we do. Celebrating special moments in each other's lives through the years, including legislators getting married, the birth of children, that I mentioned Brian's going to have a baby in the spring. Congratulations. Well, Callie's going to have a baby. Yeah. He might have had something to do with it. So. But celebrating those special moments. And we've also spent time mourning together. There's legislators, as I said, who have lost parents, siblings, and children in some cases. In the end, I'll treasure having had the beautiful pleasure to work with each and every one of you. The hug, the handshake, the smiles, the laughter, and yes, even an occasional tear. What we have in these chambers is something special, and I have felt it every day, every month for the past 10 years. I thank you for making this experience so special for me. I encourage you to savor this experience because it does go by fast. God bless you. God bless the county of Monroe. I know you're going to do a great job moving forward. And yes, Legislator Kaylee, you have the floor. Yeah, point of information. Yes. What?
Just before you're done, I know that we're not on the agenda to speak to you, but on behalf of the Democratic Caucus, I would love to say to you, you will be missed. You were a pleasure to work with, and you are a true gentleman. I hope all the best in the rest of your life.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Well, second, I have a second. Thank you. She said I was a little shit tonight. What's that mean?
Anthony's family up here. Can we get Anthony's family up here now for the portrait? You done?
Yeah, the whole family come up. But I forgot to mention, my wonderful assistant, Ian, is going to be distributing. I got everybody here a little gift to take home with you tonight, legislators. Not everyone, not you, Dennis. But it's a picture of our 50th anniversary. I think you may have seen the big picture. There's one in the president's office. But since most of you aren't allowed in the president's office, I figure I'll give you one to take. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Thank you. So a funny story with the portrait, and then I'll stop. I figure if I let this meeting go on forever, I'll always be president, so that's one of my strategies. Hence the long recess. So a funny story. So I haven't seen the portrait yet, but Diana called me earlier in the week, and she said, I got the portrait. It looks good. There's one small problem. I said, what's the problem? She said, well, the portrait's about 6 inches taller and 4 inches wider than any other presidential portrait in the hallway. I was like, bam, look at that. Yeah. No, but we better get that fixed because I don't want to be that guy. So if I don't want people talking about me. So we'll get that fixed. But,
You and I.
all right, that's going on.
Ready?
Let me adjourn the meeting and then we'll hug and kiss her. No, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes.
Makes me want to cry when I see it.
Wait for a ride.
All right, ready, legislator? Happy holidays, legislator Marionetti.
Thank you and congratulations, Mr. President. We stand adjourned until 6 p.m. Tuesday, January 9th, 2018.